All right, this is Charlie Veitch. I'm here with Charlotte from the BBC's 9/11 Conspiracy Roadtrip. And I'm very jealous, Charlotte, because I think you got most of the airtime. And they didn't even mention the Love Police. They just called me an ex-banker. But it's good to see you're wearing your famous shades from the show.
Thought this is the way I'm most recognizable. All those people out there that want to stab me in the eye with these shades, they are, you can get them in America, only $10.
$10?
Yeah, $10 just to stab me in the eye is good.
So, I guess what's on the tip of everyone's tongue, what everyone wants to know, it's like the internet is ablaze with this question.
Yeah, chocolate. I love chocolate. Oh wait, that's not the question.
No, that's not the question. But basically the question is, do you feel that you were portrayed correctly by the edit on the BBC?
Well, let me put it to you this way. Do you believe that if you went on a show to talk about very intense things, got ridiculed day in, day out, was expected to film 16-hour days, wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning, and then 9 days of this, and then to have a show come out that, I don't know, I didn't really calculate it, but I think, 8 minutes of footage of me ranting about whatnot. I think it was unfair. I think they tried to put me in a character pigeonhole, but I had to figure they were going to do that anyways, considering the way things were going. Unfortunately, before we did the show, they didn't really tell us much about the format of the show or what was going to happen. So, yeah, I think it was unfair, and I think people out there that want to judge me based on 8 minutes of footage about me talking about a very intense thing, which I'm very passionate about, you know, if they want to judge me and call me names and slander me and say I'm a whore and that I need psychotherapy for trauma, which is one of the funniest ones, actually. Yeah, some crazy stuff people have been saying. If you guys want to go out there and slander somebody for basically speaking their mind and being edited to look like an arrogant bitch, then I don't really need to know you anyway, so I don't really care what you think. As far as I'm concerned, my friends and family have supported me. I've had a lot of support through Facebook, and even on the street, everyone's been really nice. And I think if anything this happens, if you have watched me and you hate what I said and you think I'm this and you think I'm that, then go out there and do a little research and then come back to me and talk to me about things on a human level with less hostility and more of scientific fact, as you were, and less rubbish.
But for God's sake, Charlotte, if we're going to believe in these things, we might as well believe in Santa Claus.
Oh, I know, that was the worst. That was like the most silliest. He's just ridiculous. I don't understand. Like, he's saying we're, you know, stubborn and we're not listening and we're like selective listening to things. And yet he was doing the exact same thing with us. Like, he would never once just sit down and listen to what we had to say without being a complete abusive asshole. So I think that in itself is just the worst thing about our movement. You know, we're all bickering at each other. We're all taking, you know, slashes and all this kind of stuff, and it's just absolutely ridiculous. That's what detracts from just finding out the truth about anything. I don't care if it's about 9/11. I don't care if it's about JFK. I don't care if it's about chemtrails. I don't care if it's about, you know, saying that Alex Jones is a triple, double, quadruple agent or whatever. You know, like, that's not the point. The point is all of these people get people talking. And if you make up your own bloody mind, then that's your choice. So let's just get to the point here. Let's just make up our own minds, have discussion with people, have, you know, great debates, but don't make it personal anymore, because that's just absolutely silly.
Charlotte, by wearing sunglasses indoors with me, are you showing me the same level of respect as you showed the chief engineer at the Pentagon?
Oh, yeah, that was crazy. That day was awful because it made me, you know, whatever, I'm flipping out and everything like that, but they've cut a lot out of that. I wish they'd left the whole flipping out scene and all of us getting in on it, because when that guy came in the room, he was like, I hate fucking people, but I like kids, so I'll talk to you. And he was like, I did what I want that day. I walked up on there, no one told me what to do. I stole a crane. I stole a crane and I brought it to the Pentagon lawn and I just sorted everyone out. And when I said to him, and he said, oh, there were plane parts and stuff like that. And towards the end, when I said, well, did you see any plane parts? He said, well, I didn't look for them. And he had just said how he saw plane parts, but then to my face he said, well, I didn't look for them because I was busy doing other things. And that's when I went, oh, because it'd been 9 days of people, most experts, and some experts were really great, but most experts just telling me stuff I'd already heard before.
Yeah.
And from my experience, I was just I was a little frustrated, a little flabbergasted, and I was just fed up. And I'm human, and I'm allowed to have these emotions. They pushed us to have these emotions, and I'm not one to hold back on emotion. I say it how it is, and if it's rude to some people, I'm sorry, but I'm not out there to hurt anyone. I'm just out there to express my opinion. And nobody should take anything so bloody personal.
Yeah, so it's a big trip for all of us. Do you think the show made you think deeply about stuff, or have you not? Basically, what I'm asking is, did anything make you think that perhaps it was the Islamists that managed to capture America with their pants around their ankles?
That's a very vague statement to make, really.
Yeah, I like to be vague.
I know, you love that ambiguity, but for me, that 9/11 isn't just about one thing. I mean, one thing could be debunked, and then there's still something hanging on in the end. Not everything can be debunked, or not everything that we bring up can be smushed down and said, well, that doesn't exist.
But Charlotte, you have to admit, that Lego was pretty convincing.
Oh, yeah. I mean, when we walked in on that day, and I saw the Lego on the table with the little Lego guys.
But one tower and another tower of Lego.
Are you kidding me?
But was it not like being there on 9/11, seeing the Lego?
It was almost insulting. When I walked in there and I said to the production assistant, are you kidding me? Lego? What are we doing? This is not Blue Peter. Where's my fucking badge? Like, I don't want to be a part of this. I had no other choice, people, okay? Listen, I would have rather stayed in a freaking Holiday Inn with a cockroach carpet and had fucking simulations on computers to show us what it is they want to try and show us. That can happen.
But
it is possible to do that.
Charlotte,
like, if you want to do some sort of simulation, at least, like, spend some money and get some guy on a graphics machine to show us what it is, not Lego.
Was it not your pile of flour that actually proved that Shanksville was a real plane?
Well, the second time I threw it, because the first time it wasn't a good enough.
Oh, they edited it too.
Yeah. So they actually made me throw it a second time, and he's like, "Oh, look, this is a perfect one."
But do you know the one
they only
thing?
had one trying to do it, in the Shanksville day. They didn't have any rehearsals or anything, so they got it once and a go. And that's never happened before or since. Dun, dun, dun.
But the main thing I learned from Shanksville, from that silver-haired guy, was that the human body is basically a water balloon.
Yes. We are, and we splay out. It's funny too, because they say in Shanksville, they say how all the DNA and all that kind of stuff was gone. It was just, it was in there. It wasn't anything. We couldn't find anything. That's why, and that because what happens is it like evaporates itself, and then for the Pentagon, it was like almost the opposite. They said, it went in there and like all the plane disappeared and evaporated except for little pieces, but we did find pieces of stewardesses. So how the hell does flesh stay like intact to the point where you can tell it's from a stewardess and a stewardess's jacket and stuff like that, but all the real things that should be there after a plane crash aren't? I just think at the end of the day it doesn't really matter because everyone says you're never going to know the truth anyhow. It's about your experience and finding in your gut what you feel rings true. And no matter what anyone else says, and as long as you don't go out there trying to slander people and make people feel shitty about the way they feel about things, then you have the right to present your facts, your evidence, and your gut feelings, because that's all we have to go on, people. We are just a society of repeaters at the end of the day. We only are listening to other people. So if you want to make your own choice, that's great. Go for it. And if you want to support us and support Charlie, because he does some great stuff, it's good that I can stay friends with Charlie, even though we have a completely polar opposite view on this one subject, 9/11. Like, I'm a conspiracy theorist who enjoys 9/11 and everything else that affects us as a human being. So at the end of the day, we've got to get back to humanity issues. And we still have room to have 9/11 conspiracies. We're not putting any detriment on anyone else by thinking these things. We're not harming anyone. It's all right to have this stuff. And these people that think about these things, we talk about all those other things too, like the wars and whatever they're putting in the water for us and whatever they're trying to do with us in society and education and dumb us down and all those things. Like, we're pushing for that too, but just 9/11 for a lot of us is a big red flag. And sometimes you can't ignore it.
Charlotte, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Bye!
Charlotte, quick addendum, because I forgot to ask. In the show, the narrator said that Charlotte had been counting on Charlie, on his opinions. Was that true?
Yeah, no, not at all. I mean, I didn't even know Charlie before I met him at the airport. Emily had said, "Oh, you don't know this guy? He's got this great YouTube page," and da da da. And I was like, "Oh, I don't know."
I'll give you £20 afterwards.
So anything that I like, any sort of idea I had about Charlie, I sort of made as we went along. And I like him because I feel like on a lot of issues, very genuine. And even with this 9/11, he's very genuine. He's not fucking with us, guys. He does feel this way, and it's okay for him to feel this way. It's all right for him to change his mind. It's a free fucking world, and if we were starting to control people about what they can do with their minds, then we're basically doing what we're fighting against. So let's get our fucking heads out of our asses. Let's not talk about who the fuck is Charlie Veitch. He's just Charlie Veitch, man. Just give him a break. You support him or don't support him, but just this fucking slander shit just not getting us anywhere. It's not getting us anywhere. Look, at the end of the day, I think he's a lunatic for thinking what he wants for 9/11, but I'm not going to say I don't like him because of that, and I'm not going to not be his friend because of that, because I'm an evolved human being, and I don't let shit like that get in my way, you know what I mean? So that's how I have to say it. But on that note, on the bus, when we're having that discussion about, it's all right for you to change your mind, da da da, and then they cut away, and then they see me going, oh, well, I think I have a right to be pissed off. I'm actually talking about sandwiches. I don't really know how to explain this, but for the first 3 days they used to throw lunch at us, basically like we were hogs behind some fucking fence, and they were like, oh, slops on, and I'm not saying it was bad stuff, but in America they come up with some really interesting sandwiches, and if even Emily was a vegetarian yet, and she ate ham and turkey because she had no other choice. So actually what happened was that day we'd come up from the expert, which they didn't show, we did this demolition expert, which took not demolition, the steel expert, which took a long time.
The metallurgy dudes in Baltimore.
Yeah, we travelled all the way from New York to Maryland, Baltimore, and then we were travelling all the way to Pennsylvania, and I had a bit of a fit in the sense that I refused to eat the lunch. Because this is the third day, and I'd asked them, please can you just bring us a menu? Wherever you're going, I understand that you have to bring us the lunch, but at least give us an option of what's going to be there so we can choose, so we feel like, we're not just prisoners on this scary mindfuck of 9/11, And when you're away and you're with these people and you have cameras in your face, you've got to be so careful about you can't pick your nose, you can't do any of that stuff, you can't say the wrong thing just in case they edit you to make you look like a crazy person, You've got to be very sensitive about what you say and how you say it. But I was trying to be honest and myself the whole time, so I think I laid that emotion on my sleeve, and on the third day I just had it. I had a bit of a whine, and I told them, that's the same clip where I told them that, we would like to have a menu, please, for our lunches, so we feel like we have some sort of choice, and I basically hadn't eaten for 8 hours, so you know how you all get when you don't eat. And 2, could we please have an expert that at least has some sort of thing to bring to the table that's on our side of the theory, instead of having all these people constantly telling us that we're wrong, and yet we have all these experts behind us, but we can't bring our own experts to the table. I thought that wasn't fair. So because of that, that's how we got Zambotti. Yahoo! I had a little bit of flip out, and we've got ourselves an expert. A little one, but we tried. So I have been trying, guys, and I will be trying, and stay tuned because there's going to be a counter documentary coming out in the coming weeks, possibly a month or 2.
Give it maybe 5-6 months.
5-6 months?
Give it 2 years.
No, I'm joking. I'm like, more than that, don't listen to him. I'll be having it out quick, no problem. So, yeah.
Thank you, Charlotte.
You're welcome.